Hello guys, so in this video I'll be going over prime and composite numbers. So first, to learn about prime and composite numbers, we must first learn about factors. So a factor is any number that can be divided into another number without leaving a remainder. What I mean by that is that, for example, we have factors. So for example, we have 30, right? So if we divide 30 by 6, let's just say, so 5 times is 30, right? So we don't have any remainder. So 6 is our factor because it's not leaving any remainder, right? So any number that divides into another number without leaving a remainder is a factor. Let's look at another example. For example, we have 55, right? So if we divide 55 by 5, then 11 times is 55. So we don't have a remainder, right? So 5 is again a factor of 55. But if we divide, for example, 5 by 2, then 2 times 2 is 4, and we have a remainder. So 2 is not a factor of 5 because it's not exactly dividing it. So we have a remainder, right? So it cannot be a factor. So a factor is any number that divides into another number without leaving a remainder. So divides into another number without leaving a remainder, right? Now let's see what exactly a prime or a composite number is. So a prime number is any number that has exactly two factors. Right? Which two factors? In these two factors, one of the factors will be the number 1 and the other will be the number itself. What I mean by that is, for example, if we have a number 2, right? So the factors of 2, if I divide 2 by 1, right? So 1 times 2 is 2 and we don't have a remainder. So 1 is a factor of 2, right? So, and if we divide 2 by 2, so we are going to divide 2 by 2. So 1 times 2 times 1 is 2, right? And then we don't have a remainder. So 2 is obviously a factor of itself. So basically every number is a factor of itself. So what I mean by that is, if you divide 15 by 15, right? So 15 times 15, 1 times is 15. 15 times 1 is 15. So, and we won't have a remainder, right? In the same way, if we divide 23 by 23, or if we divide 50 by 50, so these all are a factor of itself because we won't have a remainder when we divide it. So 1 times is 23, no remainder is 50, no remainder. So every number is a factor of itself, no matter how big or small, right? So this condition is always fulfilled, that every number will be a factor of itself and every number will have factor 1, right? But other numbers which are not prime numbers, the numbers which are not prime are known as composite numbers. And they have additional factors, like they have factors more than two factors. So their factors are 1 itself and some other number. It doesn't mean whether they have one other factor, two other factor. So any other number or numbers, right? So this condition is always fulfilled, that a number will always have a factor 1 and itself. But if a number has additional factors, more than 2 factors, then it will be a composite number. If not, then it will be a prime number. So what I mean by that is, for example, if we look at 2, so 2 can be only divided by either 1 or 2. You cannot divide 2 by any other whole number, right? So 2 only has two factors, 1 and 2, right? If we talk about 3, so 3 also only have two factors, 1 and 3, which is the number itself. So again, it has two factors, 1 and the number 3. But if we talk about 4, then 4 can be divided by 1. So 1 times 4 is 4, and we have nothing. And 4 can be divided by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So we don't have any remainder, so it is a factor. And 4 can be divided by itself, right? And we don't have a remainder. So since 4 has more than one factors, 1, 2 and 4, then 4 is a composite number and not a prime number, right? Let's just write down factors of different numbers. So for example, if I have 2, so the factors of 2 are 1 and 2. 3, so the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. The factors of 4 are 1, 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 1 is 4. So 1, 2 and 4. If we talk about 5, so the factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So these are the only factors, right? If we talk about 6, then the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3 and 6. And if we talk about 7, so the factors of 7 are 1 and 7. If we talk about 8, then the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4 and 8, right? If we talk about 9, then the factors of 9 are 1, 3 and 9. And if we talk about 10, then the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5 and 10. So in these numbers, 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number because the factors of it are 1 and itself, 5 is a prime number, 7 is a prime number. The rest are all composite numbers because 4 has an additional factor of 2, 6 has an additional factor of 2 and 3, 8 has an additional factor of 2 and 4, and 9 has an additional factor of 3, and 10 has an additional factor of 2 and 5. So the green ones are composite numbers while the yellow ones are the prime numbers because they only have the factor 1 and itself, right? So how to find out the factors? So first of all, you should know some divisibility rules. So the divisibility rule for 2 is that every even number can be divided by 2. So every even number. So since every even number can be divided by 2, that means that all the even numbers except 2 are composite numbers. Right? Since they can be divided by more than 2 factors, 1 in itself, it can also be divided by 2, so they all have to be composite numbers, right? So the third, 3, the divisibility rule for 3 is that you add all the digits, and if the added number can be divided by 3, then the number itself will be divided by 3. What I mean by that is if you divide 576 by 3, so this is a very large number, right? So what you do is you add 5, 7 and 6. So 5 plus 7 is 12, 12 plus 6 is 18. So 18 can be divided by 3, or you can further add this to be 9. So since 9 can be divided by 3, this means that this whole number 576 is divided by 3, right? Then the third number we have is 4, and for 4, the divisibility rule is that the last 2 digits must be divisible. The last 2 digits must be divisible by 4. That means that the whole number will be divided. So what I mean by that is if we have the number 120, since 20, the last 2 digits can be divided by 4, that means that the whole number can be divided by 4, right? If you do, so let's try dividing 120 by 4. So 120 by 4, so 4 3 times is 12, and then 0, so 120, and we have no remainder. That means 4 is a factor of 120, right? Then we have 5. As you all might know, the divisibility rule for 5 is that the last digit must be 0 or 5. the last digit, right? And then the divisibility rule for 6 is that if a number can be divided by 2 and 3 both, the key word being and, then it can be divided by 6, right? Then we have the divisibility rule for 9. So for 9, it's the same as 3, that you add the digits. And if it's divisible by 9, then if the added number is divisible by 9, then the whole number can be divided by 9. So if we take the same example, 576, since 576, 5 plus 7 plus 6 adds up to be 9 in the end, and 9 obviously is a factor of itself, so this whole number 576 can also be divided by 9, right? So an easy way to find out the factors is that what you basically do is, for example, if we take the same number 576, let's say, or let's take an easier number for enough, or let's say we have 150, right? So for 150, we have to write the factors. So every number has the factor 1, right? And 1 times 150 will be 150, right? Then we have 2. Since it's an even number, then 150 can be divided by 2. So when you divide 150 by 2, it's 75. And then by 3. So since 1 plus 5 plus 0 is 6, then it can be divided by 3. So you divide it by 3. So 150 divided by 3 is 50. And then when you look for 4, then it cannot be divided by 4, since the last 2 digit cannot be divided by 4. 4 is not a factor of 50, so this whole number cannot be divided by 4 without having a remainder. Then we have 5. Since the last digit is 0, it can be divided by 5. So 5 times 30 is 150. Then we have 6. Since it can be divided by both 2 and 3, then it can be divided by 6. So let's divide it by 6. So 150 divided by 6. And we have 6 2 times is 12. So we have 3 remainder and 0. So 6 times 5 is 30. And no remainder. So 6 is a factor. So 625 times is 150. Then it cannot be divided by 7. Not 8. 9, no, because 6, the added number cannot be divided by this 9. So it cannot be divided by 9. Then we have 10. So it can be divided by 10 because 10 times 15 is 150. And then we have 11. It cannot be divided by 11. Then we have 12. It cannot be divided by 12. Then we have 13. It cannot be divided by 13, and same for 14. So the next number we have is 15. So as soon as your factor starts repeating itself, this line and this line, so you end right there. So your factors for 150 will be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 25, 30, 50, 75, and 150. And since this number has way too many factors, not just 1 and 150 itself, not just 2 exact factors, then this means that it is a composite number, right? That's how you can easily list down factors. One other thing to know for prime and composite numbers is that 1 and 0 are neither prime nor composite numbers. Neither prime nor composite, right? So that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. Goodbye.